Hey, welcome. It's Kurt Thompson, and I'm reviewing a breathing apparatus device. And originally, it's designed for patients that have had some type of surgery and they're trying to get their lungs back in order after anesthesia. But for us brass playing folks, and well, actually, I shouldn't be brassist, should I? Okay, let me not be brassist, and let me say that it's for all wind musicians, vocalists, and woodwind players, as well as brass musicians. So, for most brass players, now I'm not really going to go into woodwind players and vocalists, but for most brass players, to get the ultimate best out of your playing, especially in the extreme upper register, you have to synchronize 3 stages of compressing the air. The first stage is the diaphragmatic breathing, breathing as deep as you possibly can and putting as much pressure on the lungs and diaphragm. That's the first stage. The second stage is the bottleneck at your throat and tongue arch. And you've heard band directors say, don't pinch off your throat. Don't pitch the air with your throat. Well, they're absolutely ridiculous, and they're probably just regurgitating what their instructor told them. That's nonsense. The only way you cannot have a bottleneck and not pinch off the air at your throat would be if you were a dolphin or a whale. In other words, if you breathe straight up through a hole in the top of your head, then there's no pinching off. But there's an L shape that happens when the air comes up to your throat. It makes a right angle and comes out your mouth. There's a bottleneck there, regardless of what your band director may say. There's a bottleneck there. There's going to be a resistance. That bottleneck combined with your tongue and tongue arch creates the second stage of compressing. And then the final third phase of compressing the air would be at your aperture. You know, if you have a big aperture loose, flapping your lips, or, you know, maybe, let's just say on a reed instrument, maybe you're using a Rico #1 reed, and it's just soft, and you're able to have a lot of air go in at one time. Well, you're not going to be compressing the air as efficiently. So these are the 3 stages. And what these devices, I have several tutorials coming your way. What these devices actually work on is the first stage of compressing the air. For those of you who like analogies, the first stage of compressing the air is just like the principle of the jet engine. You know, the jet engine and the propeller plane are 2 different animals, right? You get a lot more power from the jet engine. The jet engine, you can think of scientifically blowing up a balloon and let it as much as you can before it pops, and then letting it go. And you'll remember you can see it kind of flutter around and go in circles around the room. That's the principle of jet propulsion, and that's actually what our first stage of compression is. Think of our lungs as a balloon. We're inhaling to the max, and maybe even beyond that, creating this ultimate pressure that on its own, the energy wants to come out through our mouth. It wants to expel, you know, through our mouth. That energy is what is 1/3 required to get the best tone, the best endurance, the best sound, the best control, and the best range. So it makes sense if you're a vocalist, if you're a sax player, I would say even more so if you're a flute player, really. It would really make sense to work on this stage of compressing the air. So I have several tutorials coming your way. And this, I might just leave this introduction for all 3 tutorials. So if you've seen one tutorial, you might have heard this introduction, but don't worry, I'll be going into the particular details of the new device. So anyway, I'm Kurt Thompson. You're going to see me do some demonstrations as well. So it won't just be a speaking video with some pictures. You're going to see me demonstrate these devices. And right now I have 3 devices in mind. So you might see a series of 3 videos on diaphragmatic breathing, inspiration, and improving your respiratory system, and the first stage of compression for any brass player, vocalist, or woodwind player.
Please go over to Patreon, become a supporter, support my channel and my work and what I'm doing. I really need your help. Thank you so much. This is Kurt Thompson.
You are looking at the Expand-A-Lung breathing device, and you're going to see me demonstrate this one. I've been using this one for years, in fact, more than a decade. It really is the best device that I've used, and you're going to see several other reviews on these devices, which are worthy, but this one is by far the best, and it really is quite amazing what it can do for you. So anybody that has fun in music through their breath, whether a flautist, a saxophone player, a tuba player, or a female or male vocalist, you're going to benefit by this one. Also, if you speak for a living or have to do a lot of public speaking, or you do voiceovers, you'll be benefited by this particular device. And then finally, it's actually marketed to athletes. So swimmers, Ironman competitors, triathletes, these type of folks. I guess it would apply to people that are weekend warriors. You get out there and you play, hoops with your buds on the weekend and kill yourself, or maybe you're on a baseball or softball team, that kind of thing, or maybe you do a lot of hiking or whatever. So this is the device that spans the gamut. It really does work, and for most musicians, I've devised a way to do it that I think it works the best after so many years of doing this. And I don't do the blowout, the exhalation. I only work on the inhalation, or as they say technically, inspiration. So we're going to be working on that. You're going to see me demonstrate that. And this is a device that I mandate that people get when they're in my 16-week course. It really is a mandatory. It's not an optional thing, because it really does make a difference. It's part of the first stage of compression. And if you can, let's just say that you have chop problems and you've done all you can to build up your chop strength and you've hit a wall, well, I'm going to help you overcome that. But in the interim, you can be improving the other 2 stages of compression, which would be diaphragmatic breathing, and the expanded lung concerns that, and the bottleneck at your throat and tongue arch. So there's a lot of ways to improve yourself and get around a few hurdles when it comes to your chops. And breathing correctly and syncing up all 3 stages of compression is mandatory. You must do that. So if you don't, you'll end up always having that strained type of sound and choppiness in your playing. Even if you do build up your chops, you'll still have a choppiness and a strain to your sound. You won't have that effortless Bill Chase and Maynard Ferguson way of playing and sounding. So the expanded lung is an amazing device. And I have 2 ways that I do it, 2 ways that I've been teaching it now. I think, can I safely say more than 10 years? Yes, I have been teaching this to students now for more than 10 years. And I'm sure they've gotten fantastic results, especially if they've been using it. I'm trying to go back to 10 years ago. Anybody that has been using this when I first started with this, if they've been doing it for a decade, they surely have really increased their lung capacity and the mechanism for inhaling. Now, by doing this, what you're going to be helping yourself out later, your older self, is you're not going to be one of these persons that walks around with that green oxygen container and the rubber hoses, up their nose. Have you seen those people? They walk around. They have a cart and they wheel an oxygen container around, and you're not going to be one of those. Typically, those people smoke too much, or maybe they were a coal miner, or maybe they worked around asbestos or something like that. But I'm here to tell you that I don't believe in that. I think that if you work your lungs properly, like we wind musicians, that you're just not going to end up like that. I'm also a firm believer in cardiovascular stuff. So extreme hiking, walking, running, jogging, biking, you name it. I think people that are involved in that during their lifetime are not going to be, 80 years old fumbling around with a green oxygen container. That's just not going to happen unless you have the worst luck in the world and you're one in a million that happens to you. I just don't believe otherwise it will. So by using these devices, you can stack the odds even further in your corner that when you get to be an old timer, you'll be able to walk around and do whatever you want and you won't have shortness of breath. So let me go ahead and whip this out and show you how I like to do it.
Please go over to Patreon, become a supporter, support my channel and my work and what I'm doing. I really need your help. Thank you so much. This is Kurt Thompson.
The expanded lung. Okay, now you're going to be able to watch me do some demonstrations with it. Kind of looks like a fighter's mouthpiece, right? Or a football player's mouth guard. I mean, minus this part. If you took this part off, it would look just like a mouth guard. Okay, this is the one that I've been using for, wow, pretty much coming on a decade. I think personally I've been using it longer than that, but I've been teaching this now for a decade, since 2009. And anybody that got with me 10 years ago, I'm sure that no matter what they've done with their music, they've really increased their health when it comes to breathing. And that's, basically, folks, if you think about it, when you die, you take a last breath and your heart beats for the last time. Those are the two big reasons that you die. You no longer breathe and your heart no longer beats. So those are pretty important, right? You take care of your heart and you take care of your ability to breathe. That might just tilt the odds that you live a longer and healthier life. So this is part of that. Now this guy is amazing for the first stage of compression, as I already alluded to. And I'm going to put a link in the description. You really need to get this. If you're even halfway serious, let's just say that you just sing in the church choir. You still should get this. I mean, it would really help out. If you speak for a living, or if you're upper middle management and you have to make lots of presentations and things like that at work, this would help you out. People who do voiceovers for a living, and any kind of musician that makes their music with their breath, be singers, vocalists, flute players, bassoonists, oboe players, English horn, I mean, trumpet, tuba, you name it, the whole baritone sax. I mean, this guy is going to help you out. You're just not going to regret getting this. You're going to be very happy that you did. So I have, now this comes with some directions, and it tells you to both blow, exhale into it, and then inhale. You can do what you want, but at least for brass players, we don't need anything else, another exercise to blow, because what that's going to do is going to start to activate the chops, and it might even become asymmetrical. So I don't have anybody that studies with me blow into this. We already blow into the horn, right? And we have other things that we do that just constantly work the face. I'm not focused on trying to get any facial activity, the musculature involved. I really want this just to focus on the diaphragm and the inhalation of the breath. And so you heard in the introductory, now I made two introductions. One was specifically for the expanded lung that you've already heard. The other one is a general one that I'm putting on all the video tutorials regarding diaphragmatic breathing. And you already heard me mention the stages of compression, so I don't need to go into that. They are very important. And if you're sitting there wondering why you don't have a good range on your instrument, or why you can't get a great sound or a big sound, I mean, how many saxophone players, I'm looking at you right now, how many saxophone players sound and play with a fabulous ferocity and energy of a David Sanborn. What's that? I'm hearing crickets. Cricket, cricket, cricket. Nobody. Hardly nobody. I mean, if I'm going to go listen to, let's say, 5 pro sax players in any kind of situation, big band, rhythm and blues, let's see what else, small time jazz orchestra playing standards, you name it, smooth jazz. All 5 are not going to have the amazing ability and sound and energy of a David Sanborn. You're just not. You just didn't develop yourself to that level. And part of it might be because of your breathing. You really need to focus on breathing and developing that diaphragmatic breathing. And it's even more so important for brass players because, hello, we don't have an octave key and we don't have 12, 15, 17, 20 keys to get all our notes. It comes from our air and the manipulation of our embouchure. So that said, I'm trying to drive home a point. This diaphragmatic breathing is very critical. And a lot of people don't get that because a lot of band directors steered you the wrong way when they said, airflow, open up your mouth. Oh, ooh, no. They didn't understand that the warm, slow breathing, air coming out is not going to help you. That air comes out, all your air can come out in a second or two. That wasn't even a second. There, all my air just came out. What's that going to help me do on the instrument? It's not going to help me do anything. You have to learn how to compress that air. And that's what your band director forgot to tell you, maybe because they didn't know themselves. This is one thing that's going to help you. It's one part of the puzzle. 3 stages of compression. The expanded lung is the premier diaphragmatic breathing device. In fact, I was just noticing on the site now, the Navy SEALs are actually using this. So before, when I first started teaching this, it was Ironman competitors and triathletes and long distance swimmers and runners and cyclists and stuff like that. But now this is, I guess the reputation of this has gone so far around the globe and everywhere that it's come back to the Navy SEALs and they've tried it and they actually have their Navy SEALs candidates use this to improve their conditioning. So, okay, now the 2 ways that I do it, enough lecture, but this is important stuff. I mean, you really should be hanging on my every word. At the very least, you can see I prove what I say. I practice what I preach is another way to say it. And this guy has helped me out. I do this 2 ways. Now, there's a way to dial up the resistance. You may have noticed that there's a black extension on the rubber part here. You maybe thought, well, what is that? If I get it close enough, there you go. You can see that this handle moves. See that? Now, what this does is it allows a certain amount of air to escape, and it will open up to letting the most air that will escape for this particular device. Or you can close it off to where nothing comes in and out. So what I like to do is to play around with the resistance. So one way to do this would be to put a slight drag on your breathing, your inhale. So that's all the way open, no resistance. And one technique would be just to exhale all your air and just breathe all your air and just breathe in. And that's putting a drag, excuse me, is really working. It's putting a drag on your inhalation. Or I guess in the medical community, they call it inspiration. So that's one way to do it. Now, another way I like to do is a short burst is to add some resistance. This is the second way to do it, is to add some resistance. Let me just give you an example of what happens when you turn it all the way in. Can't breathe anything there. So what I like to do is dial it in and take several short bursts of inhalations where you really can't get that much air. It's placing a tremendous load on the diaphragm to pull the air down and create that low pressure system in your body where the air rushes in. There's a vacuum being created there. And this puts a drag on your diaphragm. It must compensate and get stronger. So here we go. Let me open it back up. Okay, so let me close it up a little bit and do the second way I like to do. Okay, you probably notice there's a reduction there. Now here's what I do when I have the resistance on. I'm being as dramatic and as energetic as I can and trying my best, like my life depended on it, to get as much air I can in that short little burst. So I feel like there's a different action happening on my diaphragm than when I just use little to no resistance and take one long breath. Both are good. I am convinced, and I will guarantee you that if you get this and start working on it, it won't take more than a week for you before you start to go, wait a minute, this thing really works. You will notice the benefit, whether your tone is more centered, whether your tone sounds better and richer and more vibrant, whether you're able to sustain longer passages, whether you have better endurance, and whether you're able to make your voice boom if you're a speaker and you have to speak to a large auditorium and you want your voice to carry out. This will actually do the job. I'm Kurt Thompson. There's a link in the description. I would highly recommend you get this and maybe pick up a couple for people you know that are involved in music and or speaking. Or if you have someone that's a crazy nut that likes to do those Ironman competitions, pick up one of these for them. Kurt Thompson here. I hope you enjoyed this very informative tutorial. It is going to be quite influential in what you do in regards to music. Go ahead and like this. Look for that little red triangle, rectangle down there that says subscribe. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can see the more videos related to this and diaphragmatic breathing coming your way. And if you feel so inclined, make a comment down below and maybe even a suggestion for another video if you like. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson. Welcome to the first day of the 4-month brass upper register program. And this video series is going to go just about as close and follow the same track we would if we were just live, you and I, over the phone or via Skype. So that's one of the values is that, well, first of all, you got to remember this is a momentum-based program. So you are starting out with 0 of my techniques, and in 4 months you will be able to do all 65 techniques in one day. That's quite a feat of strength. So there is that momentum aspect. I'm going to ask you to try to do your best to keep this momentum going, even though we're not interacting live. The the momentum aspect is actually like one of the secret ingredients in my course, if you want to really call it that. It's just the ability just to kind of sneak a little bit more techniques and build more strength a little bit by little bit, almost like boiling a frog in warm water, right? They don't know that they're cooked until it's too late. Same thing with you. You won't really realize all the strength that's happening until you take a look back, and like especially at the halfway point where you can do 30 of these techniques in one day and feel great and you're stronger. It'll dawn on you at some point. So that's how this works. We trickle out between 3 techniques and sometimes all the way up to 8 or 9 techniques in a weekly sitting. The format of the Brass Upper Register course goes like this if you are working with me live, and I want to make it pretty close when you're following this video tutorial. The first 4 lessons are all brand new techniques. The 5th lesson, there are no brand new techniques, and it's a time for review, a time to recap, a time to really go back and do a little dusting, a little polishing, a little shedding, make sure that you got the techniques down. Now, and then I'll just continue on with the format. So then lesson 6 through 9 would be all new techniques again. Lesson 10 would be a big review. We go back and recap. Lesson 11 would typically be live lesson face-to-face, where I'm going to be demonstrating some techniques over using Skype video. We don't have to worry about that here because I can demonstrate the techniques to your right through this media. Lessons 12 through 15 would again be all new techniques, and then the last lesson, the 16th week, would be kind of a recap and just a powwow and saying our goodbyes and all that kind of good stuff. So that said, you and I don't have the ability to do a review, obviously, through this media. So I'm making an option, and you really need to consider it, that you take advantage of some type of review with me live. So you will have gone through 4 of these lessons, and it would be good if I could hear you do them, answer any questions that you may have, and basically we can do the review by phone, because that's how I normally would do it anyway. If you're outside the US, we would just do it by Skype audio, but it's good for me to spot check things and make sure you're doing the techniques the way you're supposed to. And also I listen for things like any extra air in your tone, brittleness, tightness, stiffitis, loss of flexibility, and things like that that are kind of part and parcel of really working the upper register. You really have to be careful of that and keep that at bay. And there's some things built into the course that will do that. So anyway, this 4-month video course, this is the first video that you've likely gotten, and we're going to be doing exactly what I would do with you if you were speaking to me right now on the phone or over Skype. Now you can transpose that or adjust that depending on what instrument you play. So triple pedal concert B flat, so we're going way, way, way down. This would even be low for tuba players. I mean, it's getting down there pretty low. It's not really accurate for me to say it's a duplicate of Claude Gordon stuff, because it really is not. And I also put my own twist on it. So I just mentioned Claude Gordon because it does have the essence of Claude Gordon, but I'm not really plagiarizing or borrowing his stuff note for note. I kind of do my own thing with it. So this is one of the mega techniques of the course. Oh, by the way, this reminds me, the default for all techniques in this course is every day. That's about a fortissimo double C. You may wonder how I'm actually trying to fake my way up there and not get it. What I'm doing is I'm just scooting my lips out of the aperture. So when I was doing those hitting air notes, of course, I could hit those notes, but what I was doing is I was widening the aperture almost to the point of a low C positioning. So when we hear all the air, it's because the aperture was very, very wide, as if I was playing below the staff. That's how I was able to do that. So anyway, I think that I've given you enough information regardless of where your range is at, even if it's lower than high C, if it's above high C, if it's above double C. You got the great format for this one here. And if you really follow my advice, don't overthink this technique, guys. Don't overthink it. Just do what I tell you to do on this one, including the rest, including the days off. And I think that you're going to be very, very happy with the results that come in. And they're going to come in much, much quicker than you might think. Some people get results in this particular one in as little as just a couple of weeks, and that's when you compare a couple of weeks versus 52 weeks. I mean, that's just miraculous in my opinion. So this one is fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. You can play along with it every day. Not every day, of course, but every time that you do the particular technique, which would be every other day or every 2 days, or however you decided to fashion in your program. And it's Kurt Thompson. Don't forget TrumpetSizzle.com. TrumpetSizzle.com. There are other products there that you might like to enhance your playing. My site is mainly devoted to the power, endurance, and range aspect of playing, and so that's what most of my programs and my video tutorials do tend to focus on. And there's no coincidence there. It is the most problematic area for any brass player: endurance and range. I'm Kurt Thompson. Have a good one. Okay, we're back with the second installment on compression breathing, the 3 stages of compression. Who can tell me right now what was the first stage of compression for a brass playing? Anybody remember? Did you watch the first installment, or are you just catching this one? If you didn't watch the first installment, I'll try to remember to put a link to the first installment, which is diaphragmatic breathing. So I'm not going to go through all that because I already did. So there might be a link down in the description, and you could probably click on that first and watch that and see how this all works. So diaphragmatic breathing, creating that pressure down in your lungs and your tummy and your diaphragm area. Now we're coming to the second stage of compression, and this is the second installment. I'm Kurt Thompson. So you saw me holding up 2 cylindrical objects. One, I guess you figured out it's a straw. This is an empty empty toilet roll holder, about the same size as a paper towel holder anyway. And so what does this have to do with today's lesson? I'm always coming up with some good ways to teach, aren't I? But it's important. Stuff like this helps people get it. So, second stage of compression is about, there is a bottleneck. Despite what any orchestral player tells you about open up your throat, open up your, the cavity in your mouth, open everything up, keep it open, don't pinch. There is a bottleneck that happens at the throat. If there wasn't a bottleneck, and if we had an opening here on the top of our head and went straight out, then that would be completely 100% free, open airflow, right? The nature of it coming out here and making like an upside down L and coming out this way automatically means it's not going to be 100% free air flowing. Just not going to be. There is going to be a bottleneck there at the throat regardless. And that's if you have your tongue dropped into an ah position. Ah, or low C positioning for trumpet folks, I'm just using trumpet for example, is a no compression tongue position. Ah. You're not going to get much compression from the second stage. You can still get it from the first stage. You can still get it from the third stage, which we haven't talked about yet. But as far as the second stage, you're only going to get a natural organic compression simply because of the bottleneck. The bottleneck of the throat. It's not, keep in mind, the air is not coming all the way out to the top of our head. If it came out here, complete unrestricted airflow. But anytime you take something, a hose or something like this, and you bend it, that automatically pinches things off to some degree, automatically puts a squeeze on it, automatically makes a bottleneck. So just the nature of our human body, up here and out here, we already have a natural bottleneck, and it happens right here at the tongue arch of the throat. A lot of people think their tongue is just here in your mouth. Your tongue actually goes all the way down here. It actually goes a lot further than you think. And so when you raise your tongue up into an E position, this starting here and creating that more of a bottleneck at your throat all the way to the roof of your mouth right behind your teeth. So this is the second stage of compression tongue arch. In fact, I've done a couple of really in-depth video tutorials, so I don't feel the need to actually do a duplicate or be redundant in this particular installment. No need to. So you can either search tongue arch in the normal Google search, normal YouTube search. You can put tongue arch Kurt Thompson, or if you're on my channel and you're able to search my channel, then you can just put tongue arch, and you're going to come up with several videos where I really explain and get in real nitty-gritty, almost disgusting detail about the tongue arch. So tongue arch in the bottleneck here at the throat is the second stage of compression. It's where if you had a garden hose and you took a garden hose and you had a certain amount of water flow and you took it and you bent it, you know, you would hear that noise that it makes, but you would also know that the water is going to spray out faster. Or if you put your thumb over the end of a hose and covered almost all of it up, you know, it would get harder to do because the water is going to spray out like a jet. So anyway, to illustrate a point, for people who don't have the tongue arch down, don't have it mastered, or in my experience, it seems like a lot of people think they actually have it, but they don't. You end up using a no compression second stage technique, and it doesn't really work out too well with the other stages. So no compression would be like this. I'm going to take some paper, just a little bit. Let me get a little spit wad. Okay, just a little bit. Now I'm going to wad it up. Of course, it's a spitball, so I got to put it in my mouth. I'm going to put it here in the paper towel holder, right kind of at the beginning. I'm going to take a big breath and blow. Okay, it actually came out a little bit, right? It came out with a certain velocity. Now, in fact, it actually went about 2 feet on the carpet. So now, I'm going to also do another spitball. Put it. And put it in this straw. Now, folks, what do you think is going to happen here? You saw it's in the straw. What do you think is going to happen with this when I blow it? I'm going to blow as much air as I can, but it will be quite a lot less air than I was blowing through this guy. Bam! Do you hear that? That thing hit my stand and bounced back within a half a second. Here it is on the floor. I mean, let me do that again. I mean, it was like almost like a bullet. Watch. I'll do it right at the camera. You see that? The speed had to be, I'm going to say 20 times or more than the speed that I got from this. It's quite incredible. Here it is again. I'll do it one more time. I'm just having fun. But now I'm blowing some fast air because of this restricted space. I'm also blowing a lot less air. You know, so when you hear band directors and other people, especially non-brass players, but it could be any band director who's a generalist, or it could be your typical classical PhD, DMA, university professor, and they say, more air, don't pinch, open up your throat. That's fine when you're playing low C's and when you're playing middle C's, not when you're playing double G's. Here's your double G and double C. I bet it went so fast you couldn't see it. It hit the camera, and you might can slow this down. It hit the camera and then came back. I mean, it's just amazingly fast. Now, what does it have to do with brass playing? This is where most people screw up the second stage. They keep their jaw dropped down low. Like you got an egg in your mouth. You're playing like that. I've seen people play like that and they pooch out their lips. You really think you're going to vibrate these lips fast after you make them thick and pouting? No, ma'am, you are not. This is the uncompressed zone of stage 2. The lower jaw is dropped down low, tongue is flat. This is exactly what your band director, exactly what your university professor is wanting you to do when they say, don't pinch off the air, don't pinch off your throat. Keep an open sound, keep the air moving, airflow, all this kind of stuff, right? That is actually what they want you to do, and they are actually correct when you are playing in the staff and below. What most of these people fail to delineate for you, because they can't really do it themselves, is when you get into upper register. Upper register, let's remind you what that is. Anybody know? Oh, no, that's not it. You know, a high G right above the staff is not upper register. That's upper middle register. Double C? Nope, that's actually extreme upper register. Upper register is high C, high D, high E, high F, double G. That's the tessitura of the upper register for a trumpet, and you can transpose that to your particular brass instrument. So these people that have all the advanced degrees and are connected and able to get into the universities, and you've heard them play, right? Well, anyway, these people are regurgitating what their DMA told them when they were getting their degrees. It's just a regurgitation of generation after generation after generation. What they're saying works fine when you're playing below the staff. So if you got a concert tomorrow and you're playing Come to Jesus in whole notes, and your highest note is the second line G in the staff, yes, they are correct. Don't pinch off your throat. Open position, no compression. If you're playing in the 1 o'clock lab band at North Texas State University, or UNT as they call it now, and you're starting off on started off on Birdland. What the first 3 notes would be high B, high D, double G, right? I'm swearing, ladies, if you try to keep your throat open, your jaw drop down low, your tongue drop down low, you are going to crash and burn. And if you have the chops to actually get those notes, it's going to suck horribly. It's going to be bad. You might not even make it through the end of that tune because you're going to be burning up your chops. This is really important. It's really probably, if not the most important stage of compression, it's right up there. Because even if you had one lung and couldn't perfectly execute the first stage of compression, but you had this, you're still going to be doing okay. So anyway, you saw for yourself, you witnessed it. A wide open cylindrical, which is keeping your throat open. Hey, don't pinch off the air. Jimmy, use more air. More air, bigger sound, Jimmy. Well, if that professor is talking to Jimmy, who happens to be playing high A's up to high C's, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's less air, Jimmy, and more faster compression, Jimmy, when you're playing up to around high C and higher. That would be the correct thing to tell that student or that particular player. So you just watched the second stage of compressed air compression, as it relates to brass instruments. And you saw it in action, folks. Saw it in action. This is when you're using the tongue arch. And this is when you got the low C, no compression position. You can think of this as like when you're fogging up a mirror or a glass in your car. You know how kids do. That's low C. That's no compression. That's your throat and mouth all the way as open as it can be. The most quantity of air comes out. It's warm air and it's slow moving air. Great for lower register work and maybe middle register work, but definitely not when you start to climb out of the staff and get into the upper register. I'm Kurt Thompson, and as I always like to say, my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson and welcome to my channel. That's youtube.com/your brass instructor. Thanks for just watching the video that you did. Maybe it's the first one that you've watched, or maybe you've watched tons of my videos. In fact, as of June 2016, as a brass player and trumpet player, I have the most tutorials free on the planet. I have over 600 videos on my YouTube channel currently, all free. So again, thanks again for watching this video. I hope that you got something out of it. Sometimes I make a video just to make you laugh. A lot of times I make a video to educate you on something and maybe even help solve a problem. So I hope something like that occurred for you in this video. And while you're at it, again, subscribe, click on my website link, and go on to the next video. It's lovely out here. Have a great day. How can you find the best trumpet lessons by the best trumpet teacher? The best one for you. That's what this video vlog is going to be about today. And you know, it's kind of a interesting and obvious question that people don't ask until a lot of times they've gone through several different trumpet instructors and trumpet teachers, you know, for their trumpet lessons. And how did I arrive to conclude that? Well, number one, it happened to me when I was younger. But number two, a lot of people that come to me for my course, especially on trumpet high notes and trumpet upper register, trumpet endurance, all that kind of good stuff, almost always they will have studied from somebody else and not just their local community teacher. I've had people that have studied with Roy Stevens. I've had people that have studied with Bill Adam, Doc Reinhardt, and I've had people that actually studied with Wayne Bergeron. I've had a couple of students that have taken the $120 lesson with Arturo. I've had people that have come from some of my more direct competitors that do a lot of similar things that I do as far as helping trumpet players online with trumpet lessons. So they all arrive at the same conclusion that whatever they were doing might have been okay and might have done them a little bit good, but didn't really get them where they wanted to as far as reaching their goals. So really, in a nutshell, there's two simple things that you can follow to end up with the best trumpet lessons for you by the best trumpet teacher, whether that be an online trumpet teacher or an in-person trumpet teacher as well. So the first thing is, I mean, this is so simple, but I guess even myself when I was younger, I just kind of glossed over it. Study with a trumpet teacher, take trumpet lessons from a trumpet teacher that actually can do what you want to accomplish. That's number one. And number two, you got to make sure that the trumpet teacher you want to take trumpet lessons from has demonstrated results. And that means in the form of students that have already taken from him or her. So those are the two things that we're going to talk about a little bit today. So the first one is pretty straightforward. I mean, let's give you an example. Let's just say that you want to be the best orchestral trumpet player in the world, and orchestral music, chamber music is your thing, and you wanted to find some trumpet lessons by a trumpet teacher that could help you accomplish that goal. Now, if you start taking lessons with me, I can help you out with some of the technique and pedagogy that will enable you to be a better orchestral player, but I've got to be honest, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't play orchestral music all that much. I've never been in the top symphonies. I never have really wanted to, and it's just not my thing. I mean, it's just not my thing. I am not an expert at it, or even close. So if you came to me and studied with me for a couple years, and maybe you've never even told me about your goal, about being an orchestral trumpet player, you're going to get good in certain areas, but wouldn't it be better for you to pick one of the top orchestral guys in your community or nearby community and study with that individual, guys or gals? So that's one example right there. I mean, get with the person that can play the way you want to play. That would be number one. Another example would be, let's flip-flop that. So I just give you a reason why you wouldn't want to take lessons. But I'm not trying to use reverse psychology on you here and steer you away from me. But by and large, the people that actually come to take trumpet lessons with me actually do so because they want to increase their trumpet high notes, their trumpet upper register, their endurance on their trumpet, the strength of their embouchure here for trumpet, all that kind of good stuff. That's why people tend to come to me for lessons. And they also want to learn how to either get in the jazz game as far as commercial jazz and lead trumpet and rock, or they already know how to do that and they want to go up to the next level and really become one of the top tier lead trumpet players. That would be when you start playing books that tend to have a lot of notes in the lead trumpet section above F's and G's, F's and double G's. So that would be your top tier kind of lead trumpet playing, and you already know what that is. Louis Bellson, Buddy Rich, Maynard Ferguson, big fat band stuff. So that, and then there's other lesser known charts in composers and bands, but still have stuff above the F and double G. I mean, that stuff is raunchy and difficult to play. Raunchy in a good way. I mean, it's tough. It's tough stuff, especially when you got to play more than one chart. So if you're taking from the world's greatest second book player, jazz improv, he doesn't really, or she doesn't really do much more than that. That's how they make. Maybe they live in New York, and maybe all they do is just jazz combo, jazz this, jazz at Sunday brunches, all that stuff. And that's all they do. And you were taking lessons from him or her, and just because of the reputation and that they're a good player as a trumpet player, maybe they even have a good reputation as a trumpet lesson teacher. But you never really told them about your goals, and you might spin your wheels with them, for a year before you figured out they're not going to help me become the best lead trumpet player in the world. And the reason is obvious. They don't do lead trumpet that much. They might do it on a gig here or there, but basically they're a jazzer. They're a second book player, or small combo jazz trumpet. So you want to get with someone who specializes, and that brings up kind of the last point of this. There are people that are all-arounders when it comes to trumpet lessons and trumpet teachers. They can pretty much do decent at a lot of the aspects of trumpet. And what I mean by that is you'll get a guy who could sit in on the second book and sound pretty decent. He could also get up there and play some lead. And if we're talking about, when I say he, I really mean he or she. I'm just using he for simplicity. We can pick the she and say that she could go sit in a jazz combo somewhere. Or she could go in the orchestra and play there. So that's kind of an all-arounder. Maybe they're doing sessions and things like that. But for you, if you really want to accomplish a certain goal, it would be better to really focus on what that goal is and get with someone who specializes and someone who is the best in that particular technique on the trumpet. I'm trying to remember, but I think it was Chet Baker. I'm trying to remember where this came up. It might have been that big 2-hour kind of biography on his life. But he made a remark about how to be successful in life is to find something that you're good at and make sure that you're better at it than everybody else. And then everything else will take care of itself. And I thought that was pretty unique. I thought that was, well, maybe it's not unique, but I thought it was practical and relevant because really you do want to get good at something and be the best at it, right? So it makes sense if you actually want to learn a specific technique on trumpet. You got to take trumpet lessons with a trumpet teacher who is actually an expert in that particular area. So that's kind of last point. So you don't want an all-arounder. All-arounder is good for when you're in 5th grade and junior high and high school, whatever. But I mean, at some point, you'll go into a direction that you really love. Classical, Baroque kind of music, chamber music. Or it could be you just love listening to Miles and Chet and Coltrane and all those guys. And you just want to be a jazz trumpet player. So you got to find someone that specializes in that and not an all-arounder. Okay, so we're talking about right now, just to recap, how can you find the best trumpet lessons by the best trumpet teacher out there, whether it be online or in person.
And we discussed one of the main points is make sure that that particular trumpet teacher can demonstrate the proficiency and expertise in what you actually want to accomplish. So that's very, very important. Now, number two, just because someone can play and is an awesome trumpet player doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be able to teach you and that you'll be able to get the information that they already got inside your noggin and become that good. I'll give you a couple of interesting two cases. And it's very interesting because they're both probably the two best trumpet players that walked the face of this earth. Maynard Ferguson, trumpet player Maynard Ferguson, and trumpet player Maurice Andre. Now, it's interesting and almost a little bit spooky that both had sons that I guess originally started out playing trumpet. I think Maynard's son Bentley actually switched to bass. But anyway, this is all legend. You know, I didn't sit down with Maynard and talk to him about it. But this is what I've heard, and based on it from several accounts, it seems to be pretty much factual. Maynard Ferguson couldn't teach his own son trumpet the way he plays. Listen to that. Maynard Ferguson couldn't show his own son how to play extremely, superbly well like he does on the trumpet with the power and the range and all the stuff that he does. Now, some people might argue, well, who wants to take trumpet lessons from their dad? You know, maybe they don't get along. Well, I mean, you can play devil advocate all you want with these two guys. The bottom line is, when you have a supernatural talent like Maynard Ferguson and Maurice Andre, a lot of it is talent. Yes, they did work in practice. But my friends, you're talking about two of the most talented trumpet players in the world, and there might be a lot of what they do that they don't even know how they do it themselves because they just have a natural talent. So that was Maynard Ferguson, couldn't teach his own son trumpet, had to send him away to be taught by somebody else. Maurice Andre, same thing. Had to send his son away to be taught by somebody else. So I hope that highlights and turns a light bulb that just because you're looking at someone and going, oh my God, they're such an awesome trumpet player, and the best in the world, I got to take lessons from that person. You might want to take a lesson just to say that you had a lesson with them, but here comes the point two of this discussion today. You can take lessons from them and expect to get great results as long as they have students that can demonstrate what they learned from them. So that's part two of this video. So part one was find a trumpet lesson teacher who is the expert at what you want to accomplish on trumpet. Right? We already discussed that. Number two would be to find a trumpet teacher who has demonstrated through his students or her students how well he or she teaches trumpet. And if you use this two-prong approach, you won't go wrong. But what you're going to do is you're going to become a little bit frustrated. For example, one of the most popular trumpet lesson teachers out there right now, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he does happen to live way down under from where we live here in the U.S. If you go to his site, it's got a ton of actually good information, good material. I don't doubt that he can actually teach, pretty decently. Also, he's a wonderful player. But if you notice on his site, he has a lot of accolades from famous trumpet players like Wayne Bergeron. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I think Bobby Shue, Wayne Bergeron, Arturo Sandoval. Now, whenever I see that, I'm always suspect of it because did Arturo take this guy's courses and go through it and make sure they're up to snuff and that students can learn? He sure as hell didn't. Did Wayne Bergeron do that? No. Did Bobby Shue go through his stuff and spend 2, 3, 4 weeks on it just to make sure? No, he didn't. What likely happened is that this particular individual knows these high caliber celebrity trumpet players, and it's called the Good Old Boys Club. They're friends. They know how each other plays. They know each other's personalities, and you got a little back slapping, right? A little elbow rubbing. And they might have just checked his stuff out briefly and said, yeah, we know this guy. He's a great trumpet player. Yeah, obviously this stuff looks good. We're going to say this stuff is great. And they're going to put their John Hancock on it. That doesn't mean that the stuff actually is going to help you reach your goals. You need to have something different. So when you're looking at trumpet lessons and trumpet teachers, especially online, well, I guess it doesn't even really matter, in person, you want to make sure there are students that have taken lessons from this particular individual and can demonstrate what they learned, what they achieved. That is really highly critical. It's much more critical than having Arturo Sandoval pat him on the back and say, yeah, good job, man, this is some great stuff, awesome. Yeah, I mean, good old boys club, right? They know each other. You know, Arturo didn't take his course. Come on, let's be real. So that is critical. So how do you do that? They call it product reviews or testimonials. Testimonials is kind of the old school way of doing it. Testimonials and product reviews. You know, they break down into a couple different categories: written product reviews and written testimonies, or more lately, it's video reviews. And which is the best? Video, of course, because in a video review of a trumpet lesson teacher, you're going to be able to hear and watch the student talk about the course and play and show what they learned. That's really, really important. You can't really fake that, right? Now, I'm not saying that written testimonials are fake, because I have written testimonials and written product reviews on my site. They're not fake, but obviously someone could just, type it out and throw it on there, right? So I would recommend that if you're trying to find the best, because you're going to be spending money on this, if you're trying to find the best trumpet lesson teacher for you, for what you want to accomplish, at least find someone who has students that have gained what you want to gain from this particular trumpet teacher. Excuse me. And that would be in the best way of product review or video reviews and written testimonials. I submit to you, if they only have written testimonials, here's what you need to do for your investigation. Get the full name of that person and Google that name, or YouTube search that person, and you can put trumpet after it. So if it's like Joe Blow, wow, I took this guy's stuff and it really helped me out a lot. I did this and I got this out of it and I got this out of it, blah, 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 blah. Well, take Joe Blow and put Joe Blow in a Google search and then add trumpet to it and see what comes up, or go to YouTube. You want to find this guy's playing, or her. It could be, a female as well. You want to find their playing somewhere, and how do they sound? How do they really sound? So this is really highly critical. I get to toot my own horn here right now, because in my 16-week trumpet upper register high range course that I've been doing for over 5 years now, based on the criteria laid out in this video that you're watching right now, it is the most successful trumpet upper register course in history. I'm not even blinking when I say that. It really is. And one reason that can be proved, it's not by me saying it, it's by all the students that have taken the course and got from above average to incredible results in the course. Some students have had much better success with my own techniques than I did. What I mean by that is, in 4 months that the course takes to accomplish, there's never been a span in my life where I went by and worked hard for 4 months and gained an octave in range. Never happened to me. Zero, I'll be honest, zero. Never happened. But I've had people come in to this course raw and fresh and green, and after 4 months, I got a couple of standout trumpet players that have gotten an octave in range, believe it or not. And my latest superstar is a student that gained 9 notes, so an octave and 1 note. That's incredible, folks, if you think about it. I mean, I don't know how they do it. I mean, I would love to be able to do that. So I'm tooting my own horn here, but guess what? If you check out some of the links below in the description of this video, you'll see that, yeah, I'm just making you aware of the course, and that it is the best and most proven course in the world right now for increasing your trumpet range and your trumpet high notes and endurance. But I'm saying that I'm the teacher of the course and the originator of the course, but when you click on some of the links, you're going to see player after player after player talk about, demonstrate it. It's just pretty phenomenally amazing. It really is. And I'm talking close to 50 different trumpet players, and also other brass from different levels. Some of these guys are professionals. Some of these guys are doctors, or attorneys, accountants, and some of them are freshmen in high school. So it's just pretty amazing. So I just had to put in my own little plug there. And when you research me, for example, I actually can demonstrate and play this thing as far as being proficient in the upper register and the extreme upper register. And you can watch me do it. I've done it in front of, large audiences. I've done it in the studio. And then I make these interesting little YouTube clips, and I'll play some trumpet high notes on them or whatever. So basically, I can demonstrate it, and then, but how do you know if I can teach it? Maybe I'm just a hot dog trumpet screamer that likes playing high notes. How do you know if I can actually, impart that wisdom? It's because of the students that have gone through my course, that have taken the course and become extremely successful at expanding their upper register and their trumpet high range. So I hope this trumpet lesson tutorial hit home some obvious, logical, but most oftentimes elusive points that, and I'm recapping right now, so if you've been writing this down, you can shake your hand out a little bit, and then, okay, get ready, here we go. So finish writing down here some notes. Got to find the trumpet lesson teacher that actually can play the way you want to play. That's number one. Number two, you want to verify and ascertain that this particular trumpet lesson teacher has success at teaching. So not only can they play that well, but they can impart that wisdom and education and pedagogy to the trumpet student via their trumpet lessons. And if you follow this advice, whether it's you like my program, I'm not assuming that you're wanting to increase your trumpet upper register. You might be wanting to become the best jazz trumpet player in the world, and you really want to become the next Chet Baker or Miles Davis. So I'm not assuming that you're wanting to, become the next Maynard Ferguson or something like that. But whether it's me or whether it's something else, you want to use this two-prong approach. And I will promise you, if you follow the advice that I'm giving here, you will come up and start taking lessons, trumpet lessons, with the best trumpet teacher in the world that you can find. And what's so cool about online is you can find the best trumpet lesson teacher in the world for you. And think about it, folks. You're going to be spending time practicing, and you're going to be investing money in this teacher and the trumpet lessons. And you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, right? It's obvious. So it was good to talk with you in this video blog, the vlog, about how can you find the best trumpet lessons by the best trumpet teacher. And I hope it all made sense to you. I think the time that you invested here, just sitting and listening to me talk about this, is just going to pay huge dividends back in your playing, the efficiency, saving you time, money, and being with the right person, whether it be a he or a she. There are plenty of women out there that can teach and play just like men. So don't be closed-minded. Keep your mind open to anybody that can play the way that you want to play on the trumpet, and they could probably teach trumpet lessons if verified by their students. So I'm Kurt Thompson. It is a pleasure giving you some advice on this. I got a couple more videos that are going to be coming after this one, so do look for that. If you have any questions, of course, you can email me at kurt@trumpetsizzle.com. My name is spelled K-U-R-T, and then at trumpetsizzle.com. But I usually throw some links right down in the description. So they should be there in the first couple of lines, and you can click on some different links. And anyway, I wish you all the best in tackling and mastering this guy. Statics and squeaks from the Roy Stevens, William Costello palming method. I'm Kurt Thompson, and this is a video tutorial on how to get started on the static and squeak part of their program. I've gone through their entire program, and I changed my embouchure even temporarily. And I could say that it wasn't really my cup of tea, and I didn't get a whole lot out of it, except for a couple of great techniques that will actually build your range and your flexibility. So they're definitely worthy of including in your routine, and that's what we're doing today. I will say that I don't encourage or even advocate you switching to the embouchure. I'm not even going to tell you about it today. We're only doing these techniques as I've tweaked them. So I've cherry-picked these out of the Roy Stevens, William Costello palming method, and I've tweaked them a little bit my own way. So whatever you see here will probably be a little bit different than a Roy Stevens disciple would actually teach you. But I like how I do it, and I've liked the results that I've seen from students in my 4-month upper register course over the last 4.5 years. So this actually works the way I do it, so I encourage you just to follow this and not get distracted with other ways. So keep your normal embouchure setting. Keep that normal embouchure setting you're using. We're not going to be changing embouchure setting right now. We're using this as a tool to increase your range and your flexibility. These are the static and squeaks, the static and squeak technique that Roy Stevens and William Costello talked about. The name comes from squeaks, like you'd hear like any squeak, a door squeaking, a machinery squeaking. Static from like your air conditioner, central air or heating unit, kind of makes that whirring kind of staticky sound. That's where it comes from. Here we're not going for a full-bodied sound as in the harmonic arpeggio. So if you haven't got that, the harmonic arpeggio tutorial, you definitely want to get that. It's like the kissing cousin of this one. There, in that particular one, we're going for a full sound. Everything sounds normal when you're going up harmonically in open position. Here we're not going to do that. Here we're actually going for altitude over a normal sound. So we're going to really back off on the air that we blow through. We're still trying to compress and make the air go through the horn faster, but we are definitely backing off on the air. We're starting much, much softer. In fact, the tone usually doesn't sound that great on this one. It sounds a little bit shrill, it's much softer. We are trying to go for altitude, trying to go high. So that said, we don't start low like we do on the harmonic arpeggios. We're going to start high, relatively high. So for most trumpet players, I think that you could probably start on G right above the staff on this one. French horn players, I would encourage you to at least start at possibly E, the 4th space E in the treble clef. And trombone players, let's have you start somewhere around, let's see here. It wouldn't be a bad idea to start somewhere around the B flat or D, right above the bass clef staff. If you could start on the F, that would be great. But you choose B flat or D. D would be actually better, right above the bass clef staff. So that's where you guys need to be starting. And then if you have more of an advanced development of your embouchure, you definitely want to start higher. So I'll pick a couple of starting points and show you how it works. So just starting on G, this is concert F G on the trumpet. Of course, if you haven't had the other tutorials, what we're going to be doing is laying the instrument in the palm of your hand, but the hand doesn't allow any kind of curvature, so you can't really curve and pull the tubing in. So for trumpets, it's the easiest. You just lay the horn over and bring it up to your chops. The only pressure that you are able to get would be the weight of the horn. Trombone players, it's very similar. If it's too heavy, you could also use 2 hands, trombone players, like that if necessary. French horn players, you definitely have to use 2 hands. You're just not going to be able to balance it that well. So I've had trombone players, trumpet players, and French horn players go through the 4-month brass upper register course and successfully been able to do this one. I don't yet have any data on euphonium or tuba players, and I'm just going to go out on a limb that definitely tuba players, I don't know if that's even a go. I don't think it would be possible. I don't know. We'll see. And euphonium players, I don't have any experience with that yet either. Maybe at some point. But so for right now, it's just I'm talking to you if you're a trombone player, French horn player, or trumpet player. So starting on G, just a G right over the staff, and we're not going for a big full sound. Okay, I would call that 1 round, and I want you to do about 5 rounds of these. So you can rest in between each one. So basically, one round is doing this in one, however long you go in one breath. Now that's involved. That's if you're involved in my 4-month brass upper register course. If you're not, you could definitely stretch this out to a total of 10 of those. So that would be one round, and I would rest, flutter my lips, maybe wait 10 seconds, and do it again. Maybe wait 20 seconds, depending on how I feel. So now let's just pretend that you have a little higher range, and this time you're going to start on high C or high concert B flat. This would be if you're trumpet. For other instruments, you're going to have to transpose that. Okay, there we got to triple G at the very end. So we're going for altitude, folks. We're not going for sound. We're just going for altitude. Roy Stevens and William Costello believe that the harmonic arpeggios work a certain set of muscles in your chops, and that the static and squeaks worked a different set of muscles responsible for playing the upper register. So I think that's why you see them paired up like that: harmonic arpeggios and the static and squeaks. You're kind of covering all bases as far as your embouchure development when you're doing that. And so the last one would be, you could start even a little bit higher if you wanted. Sometimes it's like shooting in the dark, but I just try to start high and go even a little bit higher. There we go. I don't know if you heard that, but it was just a little touch of a triple C at the end. Came out about quadruple piano. And so I kind of mix and match. Sometimes I'll start off, I usually don't start off on G. I will start off on either high C, the second one that you heard me do, or the last one that you heard me do. So I kind of alternate back and forth. I only do 5 of these, 5 rounds. And the reason is because I go through all 65 techniques in my course just about every day. It's a lot of techniques. Takes a lot of time, and I just don't have time to invest a whole lot on any one particular technique. So anyway, that is the Roy Roman, William Costello static and squeaks. And for a quick review, remember we're going for altitude over sound. So you want to be soft. These are not going to be normal notes you would be playing anywhere in any kind of ensemble. So they don't really sound that good. They're very soft. They're very squeaky. They're not really in tune. We're not going for that. We're going for altitude only. We're trying to go as high as we can, soft. And remember, you got your horn. You're not curving your fingers. You're laying the horn right in the palm of your hand. Palm of your hand. And you're only using the weight of the horn only comes at an angle. And that's all the pressure you get, folks, just the weight of the horn. So trombone and French horn players who might have a slight advantage, obviously, because the weight of your horn is more, will give you maybe just a little bit extra ability on this particular technique. All in all, when you factor this in, you got the static and squeaks, the harmonic arpeggios, the 2 isometric techniques, plus the pencil exercise. It really is a super combination to energize your range building and endurance enhancement routine. I would definitely encourage you. Just to repeat, this one here, if you happen to get the entire Roy Roman, William Costello video tutorial package that I have, which would have all of them, you could allocate between 10 and 20 minutes per day for all these techniques if you really like them. If you're in my course, don't do that. I want you to keep it at where I told you originally. So if you're involved in my course watching this particular tutorial, I want you to keep all the Roy Roman and William Costello palming techniques between 6 minutes and up to 10 minutes a day, and no more than that. Simply because you have so many techniques that are going to be piled on top of you. You don't want to be doing this, overdoing this, or be overkill. So I'm trying to think of anything else I can tell you about this one. I would just encourage you to use all the Roy Stephen and William Costello tutorials I have, because they kind of all go together. They all kind of dovetail nicely. But if you need to start off one by one, then no problem. Go ahead and do this one. But do look at the other ones. They are important. They do work together to make your goals happen quicker. So anyway, this has been my tutorial about the William Costello, Roy Stevens tutorial. It's Kurt Thompson's way of tweaking some of their material. And I know that if you invest time on this, it won't take that long to start seeing results. Give it a couple of weeks, and you will start to kind of have that feeling of surety and strength here when you go to play, especially in the upper register. So don't forget, it's trumpetsizzle.com. You can always go there and click on the products page. I have a ton of video tutorials right now stretched all across the board from all kinds of techniques, and I know that they'll help you as well. So trumpetsizzle.com. I'm Kurt Thompson. Catch you next time.
High school senior trumpet player plus horrible, weak high C's and D's, or even worse, range below high C, equals stupid. 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 Why? First off, let's define stupid. Stupid is when you do something and you already know there's a better choice, a safer choice, or a smarter choice, yet you choose to take the action that is the worst, or the dumbest, or ends up being stupid. So, how do I know that you are stupid if you are a high school senior and you can't play high? It's because you've commented on my videos before and I've looked you up. You've commented on my videos, hey Kurt, you know, I'm a senior in high school and I really want to be able to play high C for a marching band, but I'm having lots of trouble. I play on a 3C. Is this a good mouthpiece? Mouthpiece for me? Or, yo, Mr. Thompson, I'm thinking about taking trumpet lessons from you, but I just want to ask you this one thing. Should I get the Wayne Bergeron Eric via Shira Yamaha trumpet? Would that help out my range? Kurt, my band director said playing high is all about air, but you say it's more than air. Can you please help me out, Kurt? In all these situations, I've given you advice. Now, when someone gives you advice and you choose not to take it and you end up suffering, that's stupid. And I'm going to show you some people that are doing other stupid things that are unrelated to trumpet, so I can drive home this point to you of stupidity. High school senior trumpet player plus taking my course equals smart. The course has proven itself. You take my course, you get better, you get stronger, you get better range. You don't take my course and you suck at high C and high D, Stupid. Are you telling me that you can't pick up your trumpet and do this? Wow. You can't do that? Stupid. If you already know the right choice, now if you haven't heard about my stuff, haven't heard about me, then that's not stupid. If you already know about me, and you already know about my stuff, and you've already seen my videos, but you sound like this, and you know you do, stupid. 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 Why are you being stupid? You already know my stuff works. It's proven by hundreds and hundreds of players. So you have a choice to make. And I'm going to put some really cool examples of people being stupid that is not related to playing trumpet. People taking chances with their life. I've been watching all these people lately over the last couple of years die taking selfies. I mean, how freaking stupid is that? I'll show you some statistics about that, of stupidity. I'm trying to drive a point home about stupidity during my 2019 back to school year promotion specials. Okay, now, let me give you a chance to be smart. I'm going to put a link down in the description of a couple of proven courses and proven exercises and devices. Proven. It's actually not even a matter of my opinion. Proven to help you become a better brass player. Could be trumpet, could be French horn, mellophone, trombone, euphonium, tuba, cornet. Could be any of those instruments, but proven to help you become a better player. I'm going to put some discount links below. Or maybe I might put a discount code. You go to my site, you use these codes, you get some of these courses at a significant discount. So let me give you a way to reconcile. If you were being stupid, let me give you a chance to change that. Okay? Now you get a chance. Go ahead and go back to my site and get my course and get it for a discount Hello? And stop playing like this. Here you are again, right? Here you're a high school senior, or almost. Just the middle of August. I know you're doing marching band camp or marching band rehearsals, but when you go high, it sounds like this. Quit being stupid. 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 Quit being stupid. Quit being stupid. Wouldn't you rather pick up your horn? Let's rewind. Be smart. Be smart.
Hi, it's Kurt Thompson here. I just came out with a weekly version of my 20-week comeback player course. You got to check it out.
That I hadn't played for over 25 years. When I was playing in my early 20s, quite a bit, I did not know a lot of the things that Kurt has taught me. So there's upper register aspects of this that I am absolutely a school child learning how to do it. So I am definitely what I would call a work in progress. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. But I have really enjoyed it. Kurt is a terrific teacher, and I really encourage you to pony up and make the commitment to get better.
Comeback players. These are people who've been off the horn typically for longer than 10 years, or you could be maybe 2 years. But the typical people that come in that are comeback players have been off the horn for 10 years. And if you look at some of my comeback player reviews, as much as 50 years. Can you imagine that? 50 years of not touching this guy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Dowling. I just recently finished the upper register course with Kurt Thompson. I haven't played my horn in 50 years. Enjoy making music, I would highly recommend Kurt. If you are younger, at any level, whether you be in school, whether you're at the university, whether or not you're professional, or you, like me, just enjoy music, give Kurt a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Now, not all comeback players are retired, and not all comeback players are on a fixed income or just surviving on Social Security. But many of you are. Many of you watching this video right now have already seen my other comeback video promos, but threw your hands up in the air knowing that you're on a fixed income and you just didn't have the tuition to start the comeback player course, and the tuition starts at $400. Now there's a $24 weekly comeback player course. It's the same course divided into weeks. You just pay as you go. You pay, you take the course, you like it, then you pay again for the next week, and you keep going through the course like that. Perfect for the skeptic.
And if you're a trumpet player who'd like to get back in gear, you could do nothing better than taking Kurt's comeback player course. So I really recommend that you check it out and take lessons with Kurt. He's a terrific guy. He's a great teacher. He really cares about his students. And what more could you ask for in a teacher? So Dave Aronson signing off, and thanks again for everything, Kurt.
And speaking of being skeptical, are you? Are you doubting that taking courses online or via digital video downloads and things like that could actually help you out? Well, if you are actually a skeptic, this is perfect. You only pay each week, my friend. You send in your $24, you take the weekly lesson, you like it, you get better, and you send in your $24 for the next week. And that's the way it goes. Anytime that you don't like it, anytime that you want to quit, anytime you don't think it's worth it, all you do is you just cancel your subscription. It's that easy. You invest your money and you like it and you get good results, or you cancel. Perfect for the skeptical musician.
Kurt's program has given me the ability to do that. He's helped me improve my playing, but even more importantly, he's helped me improve my enjoyment in playing, because I'm not focusing so hard on whether or not I can play a note. Now I'm looking more at how do I play that note. So again, do I highly recommend Kurt's upper register program? You bet I do. Thank you, Kurt, for what you've done for my playing ability and my playing enjoyment. And folks, I want to thank you a lot for watching. Now be well.
I'm a comeback player, and I just completed Kurt Thompson's 16-week upper register and endurance course, and it was really great. But actually, I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about Kurt and his brand new course, the Ultra Comeback Player course. I think it would be perfect for any comeback player, regardless of their goal. In my case, I'd like to be playing back in a rock group, Latin group, or a jazz band, but a player who's just interested in playing for their own enjoyment, wants to make progress, or they want to join a community orchestra. I think it's the perfect structure to get you back into it in the right way.
In the right way? Hold on a second, Derek. Let me interrupt here just for a second. Yeah, that's actually the biggest problem for comeback players. Doing things in the right way. And that's why I developed this course. Are you studying with a local trumpet or brass instructor? Maybe you are. And is that person relatively young? Maybe just out of college, or maybe they are in college. Yeah. Okay. And are you probably playing, $30, $40 a week? Yeah, that's probably, so I bet I got all those right. Now you have to ask yourself a question. How much teaching experience does little Johnny, who's 23 years old, from your local university or community college, how much experience does he have teaching? Ask yourself that question. How much could he possibly have if he's 23 years old? 1 year? 2 years? The second question is, how many comeback players has he specialized in teaching during that 1 or 2 years? That's one of your biggest problems right there. The second biggest problem is going to the big university and taking from the trumpet guru there. Ask yourself this question. The guy with the master's or doctorate degree in music that's the trumpet professor, how many years of experience does he have teaching comeback players? Now maybe here's where you might think that I'm wrong, and you're right. You might think that he has a ton, because maybe he's 50 or 60 years of age. But you're wrong. Who is he teaching? He's teaching pimply-faced 17 and 18-year-old kids coming into the college. Hello? He or she at your university, despite the suffixes after their name, is not teaching comeback players. And if they are, it's just a 1 or 2% part of what they teach. Think about it. They're at the college. They're teaching kids. That's all they do. That's all they've been doing is teaching music majors, trumpet majors, trombone majors. They're not teaching comeback players, and they're not equipped, and they don't have the experience to teach you, the comeback player. Another mistake, another problem, doing things in the right way is just dusting off all your old books from high school band or college. Maybe you have the Arvins, maybe you're going through your fight song and trying to rehash all that stuff. That's a failed policy for comeback players. It seems to be the number one policy. Get out your old stuff, and or protocol might be a better way, a better word for that, and just go to town. Get things back the way they were back in, when you were 18 years old. Or back when you were 22 or whatever it was. That's one of the worst things that you could do. You are not 18, you are not 20, and you haven't been playing the last 5, 8, 10 years straight like you were back then. It's been years, decades. You can't do it that way. You'll crash and burn. Or maybe you've actually been crashing and burning right now as you listen to the sound of my voice. All right, Derek, let you continue now.
And start feeling confident about yourself and enjoying the whole process. So I highly recommend you give Kurt a call, check out the course, and good luck to you getting back into playing again.
You've been thinking about it. You've been on the forums. Maybe you're taking lessons locally. And maybe you've watched lots of YouTube videos and you're thinking about it. But let me tell you, my friend, you keep thinking about it and you're going to spin your wheels. Just get on that treadmill. You're not going anywhere fast. You need to stop thinking about it, pull the trigger, and take action. And now, with this new release, and it is a new release, there has never been a weekly comeback player version of my course until right now, summer of 2019. You absolutely have no excuse not to try this. Try 1 week. Try 2 weeks. You have no excuse. And to sit there and to stare at your TV or stare outside your window and look down at your instrument or go to rehearsal and really suck it, and to have not taken advantage of this amazing course. What are all these people talking about? They're talking about this course, but they plunked down the big bank account to get started. There wasn't a weekly course available for the people that you saw just right now. But now there is a weekly course. You have no excuses, my brass playing friend. You want to get better. You want to get back in the game, maybe even better than you were before. You got to get involved in this course now. Now is the time to take action. Think now, think smart, and get involved. I'm Kurt Thompson. There should be some links for you to click. If not, look down in the description, click that. And easy way to get started on getting better and feeling a lot more confident about who you are and your instrument. So long for now. Bye-bye.
Whew. Articulation in the upper register, in the extreme upper register. Did you notice the attack, the articulated 16th notes that I did? Very pointed, very clear, very articulated. A nice lot of crisp pop to them, right? And of course, the tongue is responsible for that, along with a little bit of air. That would not be made possible without this. Chops. Okay, and so in this video, you're going to hear a little bit about my opinion on tongue-controlled embouchure, trumpet yoga, super chops, master super chops. What's the guy's name? No, I don't know. You know, these names are not all on the tip of my tongue. Bob Civiletti, if I'm pronouncing it right. Of course, the other guy's name is always on the tip of my tongue because he still owes me money. Jerome Callett. So, I'm making this video in response to literally hundreds of people that have commented on my series. If blank is the Holy Grail, why aren't we all doing it? Well, I have an installment in that series from several years ago. If TCE, tongue-controlled embouchure, is the Holy Grail, why aren't we all doing it? And a lot of people did not like my opinion that the tongue-controlled embouchure could work for some, but I rank it as a last resort. And I still hold that opinion, but people didn't really watch the entire video, and they think that I'm just totally down on TC, which I'm not. I'm just saying that there's probably other things to try first. And as a last resort, if you're still having trouble doing what I just did, an octave lower, and believe it or not, raise your hand if most of you would have trouble doing what I just did, but down an octave, 8 BB. See? That's just about everybody. Okay, there's one person sitting over there with his hand down. Well, just about all of you would have trouble doing what I just did, down an octave. You're not even going to think about doing what I just did up an octave. And I got to be honest, I'm not even all that warmed up. So what you just saw me do was pretty much cold. So let's talk a little bit about why you came to watch this video, because I mentioned in this video we'll talk a little bit about TCE, trumpet yoga, Jerome Callett, this Bob Civiletti. There's another person that said, what do you know about Richard so-and-so? He's a guy over in Britain. I don't know too much about him. But I did try to get some of his stuff, and I've gotten in the past, of course, free I got a lot of stuff from Jerome Callett as he was recruiting me to kind of represent the Callett-Sema trumpet. And we're not going to really go into a lot of that because it's kind of negative, actually. Especially, I still have kind of a bad taste in my mouth about the fact that the guy still owes me quite a lot of money. And notice I'm looking right into the freaking camera and not blinking on that one, baby. He still owes me several $1,000s, but he's dead now, so what can you do, right? He's passed away, so we're not going to go into a lot of negativity about this guy. But his method and the other folks that have tried to expound on the trumpet yoga from back in the 70s, and then I think he came out with the Master Super Chops. That's kind of when I kind of came on scene, when he started contacting me back about 10 years ago. There's some merit to some of that. In fact, every now and then I do a little spit buzzing myself. Now, I don't do TCE, but there's some hardcore action on the tongue and the whole face setup to spend about a minute doing this. You watching my tongue? Every now and then I'll do that because it really gets the tongue exercised, puts a lot of force on it, a lot of torque. And anyway, I've had all kinds of questions, some of them derogatory, some of them neutral, some of them positive comments about my opinion about TCE. And anyway, so if you go back and watch a video, you'll notice that I'm not 100% against it. I'm just saying that it might want to be your last resort. I mean, it could work for you. Just like a lot of these methods, the Stevens could work for you. You know, that embouchure set, you get the upper airstream hitting the top part of the bowl of the mouthpiece, and you're dropping the mouthpiece a little bit lower to accommodate that. That could work for some of you. It's not going to work for all of you. The other one too, the people are trying to compare, at least I think maybe incorrectly, the Maynard-Ferguson protocol and the TCE. I don't think they're the same thing. I think there's something to do with the lips are, I guess, unfurled, possibly in both, I believe. The TCE has unfurled lips because they want your tongue to come through, so your tongue is not locked up against your throat, blocking off a lot of the air and the power. And I believe that's kind of the premise of the TCE, and it could hold true that the MF protocol might be like that. So again, as I have said before, the MF protocol, I don't believe it's going to work for most people. But you might as well try it, because what if it works for you? It could be just a complete miracle pill and holy grail for you. So same thing with TCE, but you know, since I have, like Jerome Callett, in case you don't know, he just passed away. And I just heard about that. Jerome Callett just passed away, aka known as Jerry Callett. I guess he goes by Jerome Callett, Jerry Callett. He just passed away. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into a lot of negativity. I'm going to try to make it either neutral to slightly positive. So he did have some innovations when it comes to using the tongue. And I don't believe the TCE method and my tongue arch method are that far apart. Let me move up a little bit closer. I was kind of doing this in the mirror. Now, I'm not able to see myself in the camera right now, so I don't know exactly where I'm at because I'm using the opposite camera on my phone just to get a little bit more high definition. But you know, TCE, if I remember correctly, even with the spit buzz, the tongue is through the teeth, right? Like that. And then you curl the tip down to your lower lip, like that. And that's kind of like the formation of the TCE. And you know, I'm not a TCE expert, as you already know and can tell, but I think that's probably pretty close. And maybe somebody who only does TCE could correct me if that's not right. But basically you're going to have your tongue through your teeth, through. Now the top part of your tongue will be touching
the sharp edge of your top teeth, then it curls down. That tip kind of rests or anchors on the bottom lip. Okay? And you have your kind of aperture between your tongue and the teeth, so to speak. Now, watch how closely and not far removed that is from how I play. So, how I play, and now this is above, let's just say above the staff. I don't play like this down on low G's or low C's, but once I get above the staff, my tongue does not anchor on my bottom lip. The anchor is just like 1/8 of an inch in front, right on the cutting edge of the bottom teeth, actually a little bit behind. So watch. See how close that is to TCE, okay? Watch again. TCE, and my way. Can you see the difference? Watch one more time. TCE. Now I'm not arching my tongue up to create the friction with the cutting teeth. I'm just trying to show you for demonstration purposes. TCE. Tip. Line. You see there's hardly much difference, right? The tip of my tongue is actually anchored right at the cutting edge of my teeth and a little bit behind. Here. Versus TCE. Here. There. Here. What is that? Maybe 1/8 of an inch? Maybe? Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Not a big difference. The problem I had with TCE years ago when I was messing around with Callet, because he wanted me to kind of be a poster boy for his Callet SEMA trumpet, and we're going back almost 10 years ago, and he wanted me able to do a little bit of TCE, and which I tried, which is just not my cup of tea. But anyway, I did mess around with it. He sent me a lot of free DVDs. He sent me all his master super chops, and he sent it all on the house along with mouthpieces and everything else to get me to come over to his side. So I gave it a try, but here's one of the problems with, in my opinion, with TCE. The lower lip does most of the vibrating when you're playing the horn. I think through all registers. When you do TCE, what you're doing is you're essentially kind of cutting out the lower lip, and you will notice, you don't have to take my word for it, you will notice that your tongue is vibrating. Look at me and watch me buzz with TCE setup. A lot of the buzz action and vibration is happening right on the tongue. Now maybe that could be good, that could be bad, that could be neutral. In my opinion, it's not necessarily the best. I want all this to be vibrating here, the lower lip. So there's that. You try it enough, and if you get it down, you'll find that the buzz and the vibration, a lot of it is happening on your tongue and not your lower lip. So I think that has some impact on tone and control. The other thing is, people that do the Jerome Callet way, TCE, I feel, based on what I've heard and seen, that they can probably play pretty high and pretty loud. I don't necessarily think that they have the finesse and the control and the dynamics and the sweetness down lower and in the middle register. And when you're playing Dolce and Cantabile, those very singable sections, especially for you classical people, I'm not sure TCE is the way to go for that unless maybe you perfect it. I guess you'd really have to work a lot on it so that when you're employing this method of playing, that you are able to sound sweet and be able to play very softly with a good tone and control, intonation. So Anyway, I brought this up because Drone Gallet just passed away. I heard recently. He must have been close to 90. Had to be. I mean, he had to be. He was 80 something when I was dealing with him. So he had to be 90 or maybe 90 plus. So he lived a long, long life, and lucky him. He lived a very long time. And so anyway, I'll keep an open mind about trumpet yoga, master super chops, and these guys that are still surviving. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to go back and see if I got their names right. But the one guy, Bob Civiletti, don't know him personally. Personally, don't think I've ever interacted with him. Maybe. I just know that he's pretty good with all the Baroque stuff, especially the high Baroque trumpet. And of course, he employs tongue-controlled embouchure. Of course, I just mentioned Jerome Callet passed away, so he was kind of the head honcho there. And there may be some others. I guess there's a younger, newer guy over across the pond, over in England, Britain, somewhere. His name is Richard. Can't remember his last name. But he's kind of like the representative across the pond over there for tongue-controlled embouchure. So, I'll keep an open mind. I try to keep an open mind. That's how I was able to review all this stuff. I've gone through just about every course and every method that you could think of. If you think of a method that maybe I don't know about, or you think I don't know about, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, and I'll let you know if I've already gone through it and if it had any merit, any value, what I decided about it. So that's my little take on, again, not the only one, on tongue-controlled embouchure, trumpet yoga, master super chops, and then they have some German names that I don't remember. Should I even try to attempt it? Eins Heissen, or now we're into Comedy Central, right? Because I'm just going off the top of my memory. I don't speak German. I don't use those German words. But anyway, I said use it as a last resort. So if you've tried a lot of different things, you could go ahead and give the TCE a try. I don't think that you're going to find it to be a miracle pill. Excuse me. I don't think that you're going to find that you just work on it for a week or two and all of a sudden you're just going to be a complete beast on the trumpet, in the upper register, or even trombone. This probably might apply for a lot of brass instruments. I don't know about tuba, but probably definitely for trombone and maybe even euphonium. But so yeah, I don't think it's an overnight sensation. And remember, there is still only one holy grail right now that we all know of, and it's the 16-week brass and trumpet upper register course. It is proven without fail. It works, but only if you follow my instructions to the T without deviation. And if you do that, it is the holy grail for brass playing. There's only one right now proven that way. The other ones work for some people, but don't work for most. Let that ring in your head. Almost all methods, except for the 16-week course, work for some people, a few people, and it works very, very well, but they do not work for most. So let that ring in your head, except for the 16-week upper register course. And it's proven, not by me. Well, I prove it because I'm a poster boy for it, and it has helped me, but proven by all the people that have gone through it and had tremendous success to decent success. So, you wanted to hear a couple more articulated high notes? What's that? I already did some articulation in the upper register. Again? Okay. I guess I can do a couple more. What should we do? Take one out of the Arbenz book? Yeah, we could. I'm trying to think of one out of the Arbenz book here. There we go. I could probably do that one.
Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson, trumpet player and brass coach. And if you're a comeback player, that's someone who's just restarted playing again after quite a long time of hiatus from the horn, I want to talk to you. And you could be a trumpet player or a trombone player, French horn player, baritone, euphonium, tuba. If you play one of those and you haven't played in a while, then I want to talk to you right now. I teach and play music full time. I pretty much have done that almost all my life. But I bet you didn't take that path that I did. At some point, you found a more lucrative career and you went that direction. And you put down your horn because you had to, because you had other obligations. Now life is a little bit easier. Maybe you're even retired or semi-retired, and you've decided you want to get back on the horn and start having a lot more fun. But there's one thing that really nags you, and that's playing your horn and enjoying music is much more difficult than you remembered.
My name's Don, and I learned about Kurt's course from a trumpet player in one of the bands I play in. I called Kurt. He told me he had some low brass students, and I decided to give it a try. Since taking Kurt's course, I've been able to play it to a fourth above D, that is to a G.
Hi, I'm Bob. I've been practicing the trumpet since 1936. I've always had an upper range problem. I just finished Kurt's 3-month course and am happy to say that I've not only increased my range but have added considerably to my endurance. I would heartily recommend Kurt's course. Thank you.
Messing around with the trumpet, I got a pretty good dental setup. Little overbite. A little bit, not much. Just a tad, like a fraction. So maybe I don't have to contend with some of the issues that you are contending with. So here I'm going to offer you some trumpet lesson advice, and it may be applicable to other brass instruments as well. What do you do if you have more of an overbite than I do? What happens if you have an underbite, more of a bulldog kind of set? You're going to have to make some adjustments in the pivot of your trumpet. Otherwise, you're going to keep fighting the good fight, but not getting anywhere. So, I found a cool little gag gift for teeth. I started playing around with it, and I came to some conclusions. I mean, this is an exaggeration. In fact, if I put this in my mouth, it's not going to be exactly as you would feel and play if you have an extreme overbite or underbite. In fact, this makes it very difficult because what it does is a scoop underneath there causes air to get trapped, so I'm not able to really blow out the way I normally would. It's my lips don't vibrate the same. It's an extreme proposition here, but I'm here to tell you you can work around any limitations you may perceive about yourself. In other words, We all like to point at Maynard Ferguson and say he had the natural, perfect teeth, lips, jaw, muscle, everything, the perfect setup to play a brass instrument. And you can point that out to several other stars, probably Harry James, Rafael Mendez, Maurice Andre, even John Faddis. And John Faddis, actually, I noticed he has a gap here between his teeth, and so it seems like that may assist his playing. Perhaps you want to say like Wynton Marsalis, other great trumpet players. Who else could we put in there? Oh, maybe Al Hurt before he had his accident. What else? Maybe Cat Anderson. There you go. The poster boy for probably the perfect muscular and jaw setup for playing a brass instrument. He probably could have played tuba just as well as he could play trumpet. So you can rationalize and say, well, these people were just blessed, and therefore I'm always going to be a third chair player because I just didn't have the genetics that they did. There is a small little truth to that, but it's small. It's like 0.5%. The real story is you can overcome any limitations, most of them, unless you have a severe scar or accident or malformity in your chops, like a cleft lip, where your lip is just really severed and you can't get the vibration. Might be one of those reasons you could really rationalize why you're not playing a brass instrument. Or if you're like Al Hurt, I guess a chunk of brick got thrown up when he was a maitre d' in a parade, and a chunk of brick threw up and it smashed him right in the mouth. It just really messed up his playing for the rest of his life. He never was the same. Those kinds of things, would affect your playing, and you could rationalize why maybe you want to switch to piano or guitar. But for the rest of us, it's just an excuse for where you are right now and why you're not getting any better. Got to get rid of that excuse, get on the horse, start riding again, and try to figure this stuff out. By watching this, you're going to figure it out, part of it. The overbite person, what is that overbite person going to have to do? Let's just put the teeth in. I got an overbite, and this is going to be silly. This is an exaggeration. If you have an overbite, it won't be as bad as what I am encountering here. But let me just put the teeth in. I can't, it doesn't even feel the same. I mean, of course it wouldn't feel the same, but I mean, it's real freaky. So, put it in. If I play it straight on, there's some limitations I experienced already, and it's probably because of this. It's not the true representation if you had a decent overbite. I mean, this is much worse. So what if we try pivoting the horn up a little bit and see if that would matter, or if it would be the same or worse? Let's try it. Is this in? Whoa! Okay, now I got the double G. And a lot of you might be shaking your head saying, that's ridiculous, Kurt. We always heard you play a triple G. Well, it's not ridiculous because most of you cannot do what I just did. Okay? I just picked up the horn and did it. And you can see I wasn't sweating bullets and passing out. Let this be a lesson to you. I just pivoted the horn up and it helped me out a little bit, even though I'm using something funky. Now, what happens if I left it straight or went down the other direction? Now, this is an overbite. Look at extreme overbite. I'll do it straight on. I'm just not getting the buzz happening in the efficiency the way I did when I tilted and pivoted the horn higher. I'm guessing if I go pivot the horn down, it's going to be even, it's going to be a deal breaker. Let's try it. Worse. Okay. So this is an extreme, almost non-unrealistic representation of any of you that have an overbite if you're a brass player. But what can you learn from this? Now, this is extreme. You learn that if you have an overbite, that's where your top teeth hang over your bottom teeth. A little bit or a lot. That the more that you play straight on or you're pivoting down, you're going to be worse. You're going to be a worse player. At the very least, let's just say that you can play everything fine, but your range is going to be in the gutter, okay? You just heard. Straight on and down, you got an overbite, it's bad news for you. Therefore, you can take, you can pay heed to this free lesson that I'm giving you and experiment with different levels of pivot from center to a little higher. Now, I'm not talking about an extreme pivot. I'm just talking about you're playing on. If you have an overbite, you might want to experiment with just a fraction, a couple degrees north. Are you getting that here? Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more. So you're going to have to experiment with a little bit of a pivot and see where your sweet spot is. I'm guessing it's not going to be an extreme pivot because that's just going to be just as bad as maybe your current setup. So you might want to experiment a week or two with just a small pivot of the horn upwards if you have an overbite, little to extreme. Now, if your overbite is about like mine is, which is almost a nil, just a little bit, you may not need to worry about this. I mean, I don't consciously try to pivot my horn up or down. I feel like I play straight on, but there may be a little bit of pivot there, but I don't consciously try to do it. Okay, now for you folks that are bulldogs. Hey guy, come here. You see little Johnny over there? He's looking kind of cute. Yeah, no, I'm making fun of you, you underbite people. I think of like the dirty old man, that you see in those old sitcoms, from the 50s or something like that. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to what we're doing here. If you have an underbite and you have that bulldog kind of look, either a little bit or a lot, that's people that do this. Now that's extreme. But some people, when they shut their teeth, they shut in their lower jaws is the teeth here like that. Is that you? See that? If you shut your teeth and naturally your lower jaw is a little bit more out, you have an underbite, more of a bulldog look, and when if someone were to look at you, and you're going to have to probably, I'm going to guess, pivot down. So let's put this in reverse. We'll put it down here. So it's down here. Now I got an underbite. See, lower teeth coming out. So let's try this again. Straight on. Not bad. I'm going up. That was easier than the overbite, but now let's try. I'm just coming up with a couple of equations in my brain. Obviously, I think if you have an underbite, you're more blessed than if you have an overbite. It could be that underbite allows you to have more of an upstream air delivery into the mouthpiece, causing you to be an upstream player, and you might have an easier time with range. You can understand by this coming out, when you blow, the air comes up, it's hitting the upper part of the bowl of the mouthpiece in here. The air is coming up this way. And traditionally, most brass players and academics would probably agree with me that you're likely to have faster air and be able to have an easier time in the upper register. So it appears that by having an underbite, maybe that predisposes you to an upstream air position. But now let's go ahead and work our way down, pivot down, and see if the pivot up was good for an overbite. Let's see if the pivot down is good for the underbite. Okay. Dramatically better than what you just heard when you thought it was coming out pretty good when I got the double G, when I had a straight on to slightly pivoted upwards. Yeah, that was not bad. But with the underbite, as I pivoted down lower, things magically got easier for me. So what can you get from this free trumpet lesson? And if you're a baritone player or tuba player, you can maybe even take stock in this, or trombone. The moral of the story is, if you look in the mirror and you shut your teeth, don't try to manipulate anything. And if the top teeth naturally come over the bottom teeth a little bit or a lot, you have an overbite, and you're going to want to experiment with a little bit of an upward pivot. If you shut your teeth and you notice that the lower part of your jaw, these teeth are out more than your top teeth. They stick out more. You have an underbite. If you don't know what I'm really talking about there with an underbite, look at a picture of a bulldog. They tend to look like this. Right? Just go on Google and search images for bulldogs. They have a severe underbite. So if your lower teeth tend to stick out more than your top teeth, you have an underbite. And we just learned that a downward pivot, experimenting with that, might actually help you have more ease and comfort in the upper register. So I like doing these little experiments, and now I made it hard on myself. This is crazy, unrealistic. I doubt if anybody is having to fight the good fight I just did with these fake teeth. So in other words, I went extreme, but you heard that's another point to back up my fact that nobody is born to play third part. How could I put in this crazy contraption in my mouth, something that none of you are going to have to deal with, and no matter how bad your upper bite or underbite is, it's not as bad as what I experienced, yet I was able to go up to double G on the upper bite and up to double C on the underbite. That just proves my point. But you might be saying, well, Kurt, how were you able to do that? Improving, strengthening your embouchure tends to blow past any limitations that God gave you naturally. That's how I was able to do it. And you notice it didn't have anything to do with air. I've created a super strong embouchure by practicing what I preach. I practice the 75 techniques in my course. I've been doing it for years. I don't want to give away my age, that I'm going to be turning 40 pretty soon, but I've been doing it for more than 1 decade. So anyway, yeah, I know that's a long time, right? Well, it is what it is. It just means I have some experience, right? And you get at the cliff and you're almost 40, you're looking off, and it looks like a dark abyss down there you're about ready to step off into. It's pretty scary, guys and gals. So it just is what it is. But I can still play and I can still think, and so that's your answer. Chops will overcome any limitation that God gave you. It'll overcome if you only have one lung. If you only have one lung, I can still make you play first or principal trumpet or principal trombone, because this will overcome that. That and the other concepts of air and compression will overcome if you only have one lung. So if you have screwed up teeth, if you have an overbite or an underbite, thin lips, medium lips, fat lips, the strengthening of your embouchure, the systematic approach infused with momentum that's in my course, with 75 different techniques. One technique, one routine might likely not work for you guys. And I have to say this over and over again, but can you hear this? If one approach, Claude Gordon, worked for everybody, we wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be talking. I wouldn't have a course. We would all, like disciples of Jesus, be doing the Claude Gordon. Okay? If the spit buzz and TCE worked, if that worked, we all would be doing that. Why would we do anything else? You hear what I am saying. Think. Right? Think. Carmine Caruso, if all we had to do was just
tense our lips up and do isometric contractions and hold out notes for half an hour. If that worked for everybody to build range for brass players, we would all be doing it. That's one technique, one approach. Doesn't work for the majority. It works for just a small amount. And that's why you know about those methods. You know about those methods because one or two people have spouted how great it is. You need a course and approach that has a multifaceted, shotgun, macroscopic approach with techniques hitting you from all kinds of different directions infused with momentum. That is the holy grail to brass playing. You cannot argue it against that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to me, and we would have already done that one method that worked for 100% of everybody. And that one method didn't exist until now. My course, the Holy Grail to Trumpet and Brass Playing, is a 16-week upper register course with 75 techniques. You go through the process, and you'll have the strength, regardless whether you have an overbite or an underbite, or some things are screwed up and God didn't bless you the way he blessed Maynard or Cat Anderson or those guys. You're still going to overcome a lot of limitations, and you don't have to be stuck at third chair. So, I'm Kurt Thompson, and I approve this message. I'll see you in the next one, folks. Bye-bye. Check out that. You see that number 1? That's right. I don't know if it's coming out backwards here on the mouthpiece, but this is the largest of all Bach trumpet mouthpieces. I mean, it's bigger than the A cup. It is the original Bach 1 mouthpiece. And even according to Vincent Bach, it has limited uses. And for me, it has limited uses too. I got it mainly to record Almost Blue on. And so when you hear me play the trumpet solo on Almost Blue, it is being played on the largest Bach mouthpiece. So I just wanted you to know. I also have a sound sleeve on it as well. So today, I'm not really going to be going into mouthpieces. I just wanted to use this mouthpiece instead of my fancy schmancy custom Bob Reeves. So, we're kind of comparing apples to apples here. So this video is about all the emails and comments I get. It's like perpetually, constantly about, do I relax my lips when I play high? Do I tighten my lips? Roll in, roll out, and then I guess loose lips. These are things that come up over and over again. You can read the comments in my various videos. I get lots of emails, and I even got students asking about it. They hear contradictory advice out there from different players and different people. So I'm here to do some very close-up demonstration of my job. So I'll just play in a couple of notes, and I haven't even warmed up today. Literally, I haven't. I've done some lip buzzing. That's about it. So I'm trying to, and I'm going to keep this in a range that is reasonable. I'm not going to be doing this on triple C's or anything like that. Just a typical range that most folks might be struggling with. So let's find out what loose lips can do when you're playing on the trumpet. Now, very loose lips, you might equate this with kind of chops that aren't that strong. But if my lips are loose, let's get in there. There you go. You can see.
Sorry, I have a little injury here from yesterday, but here we go. These are loose lips. Loose lips vibrate slower, folks. The aperture, almost like this. Can you possibly play above the staff, get a great sound, be accurate, with a lot of power, with loose lips? I'm just going to have to tell you no. So I don't know who you were listening to. You're probably on the forum somewhere, and someone's probably saying that you're too tight or whatever. You're not going to be able to play above the staff with loose lips. Frozen in time for a double pedal C. A very wide aperture, a very, very relaxed set of chops, very loose. You probably noticed an extreme rollout to be able to accommodate such low frequencies on the horn. You need to get that out of your head, that somehow you're going to be able to wail on high C's and D's and E's with loose, relaxed lips. It just ain't so, no matter who tells you that. And if someone is a great player and they tell you that, then chances are they don't know what they're talking about. They just are blessed with natural talent, and they are thinking that they're playing with loose lips, but they really are not. So loose lips are great for pedal tones. Some pedal tones, obviously like the pedal C, you can't play too loose. Let me go loose. Even the pedal C won't come in unless you firm some things up. You can see that there's more tension there on the pedal C. Now, the more lip we have rolled out, the more loose and relaxed it is, and probably even a larger vibrating surface. An extreme rollout. How about low C? Okay, now I'm going to freeze certain lip positions so you can watch. Low C, watch. They're rolled in, but not extremely. Relatively wide aperture. Now compare middle C to low C. More of a roll-in, right? Let's see if I can get the light on it. You notice the bottom lip is rolled in more, right? Low C. Middle C. Rolled in more. Aperture more narrow. High C. Significant roll in, lips more tight, taut. Why are my lips, and why should your lips be rolled in and tighter as you go higher. The reason your lips are tighter is because you're meeting the resistance of air pressure coming through your mouth. And what the tighter lips have to do is they have to be able to grip the aperture closer together as you meet the mouthpiece. You can understand that if your lips are not tight enough, the aperture here will widen out slightly and you'll lose that note. Why will you lose the note? If the aperture becomes wider, the air becomes slower and the note will drop. Is that making sense to anybody out there? Tighter? In order to have this very narrow aperture and the taut, firm lips here, now they have to be firm here. They can't be loose. Folks, understand this. You can't have loose lips in the upper register. You can't have a rollout. Not going to work. This is part of the essence of my 16-week course. You have to build strength here. The strength I'm talking about is the strength of your lips and the embouchure surrounding it to hold the air compression in at a narrow or smaller aperture. Not larger. Remember the double pedal C? Is that close? Yeah, it's pretty close. Look at the difference. Lots of lip out, right? You can't be doing that above the staff. It just is not going to work for you. The strength I talk about increasing, and when students have taken my stuff, my courses and lessons, they talk about an increase in strength. They're talking about this. Your lips being strong enough to be rigid and snug in tightly the aperture. The aperture is a little hole between your top lip and bottom lip where the air comes out into the mouthpiece. If you can't hold a very small, narrow aperture, you cannot engage the third stage of compression in regards to brass playing. And that's the air being sped up and stayed that way into the mouthpiece. You need the air to stay compressed until it gets into the mouthpiece. You have to have strength in your lips to be able to do that. You cannot be playing loose or rolled out. The high C, close. A little higher. And remember, I'm doing this on a Bach 1, so I don't even know how much I can go, but very tight, very rolled in. Why is it that tight and rolled in for the double G? It must be so that the aperture, the hole here, can remain like a little pinprick. I bet the hole is probably no bigger than maybe the end of a toothpick. It's very, very tiny. And the power and the strength I'm talking about that I have in my lips is able to keep that contracted. Well, my hand wouldn't do justice. It keeps the hole contracted so that I can keep the pressurized air into the mouthpiece. That's the strength that we're talking about building up. You have to have this strength if you want to be able to play above the staff, number one. Number two, if you want to have a tremendous amount of endurance. Now, if you can do what I just did on, now this is the largest mouthpiece that Bach makes for trumpet. If you can do, for example, the double G that you just heard me do, let's go down 4 notes. Let's say you don't even want to be a screamer. Let's say you hate high notes, but you got yourself to the double G like that. G down to F, to E, to D, to C, 4 notes, to let's say B flat. That means that B flat, B, and C right above the staff are almost effortless, and you can play those all night. You'll have tons of endurance as long as you don't overblow. And other things being equal, you know, you're not sick or not overtired or stressed. That's why we increase the range higher higher to the point where skeptics say, oh, we don't need all that range. Yes, you do need all that range. Just because you don't see it in your music doesn't mean that your body doesn't need a comfortable cruising zone for when you're playing your performances. So that is why you increase your range. That's one reason. The other reason, of course, if you want to, play high and show off and showboat, kind of like what this guy does sometimes, well, that's another reason. But the true reason is to extend your endurance and have more fun on this instrument. So lesson learned. You can't see it much closer than this, can you? You saw my lips. They have to roll in and become tight so they vibrate faster, but also, more importantly, you constrict the air to the aperture that's very small and narrow, with just like a fast compressed air coming out into the horn. It takes a lot of muscle strength, and if you don't have that ability, you won't be able to go higher, or if you get fatigued, you'll drop notes. That's why when you gas out, you lose endurance. A lot of it's because of muscle fatigue. The lips just cannot hold that narrow aperture anymore. So, close up again. I don't know. I'm not letting hardly any air come out between my upper and lower lips. What's the difference between me and you? Odds are you don't have the strength in your lips to bear down on that pressure and to keep that pressure going through your mouthpiece. Your lips are unable to do so at a certain altitude above the staff. Your lips then capitulate, they weaken, or they blow, or the air blows them out a little bit. As soon as the air compression blows out your lips, and we're talking about maybe not even smaller than millimeters, just a hair's width, and you can already lose range that way. A half step, just it goes down quick. There. That is a very in-depth and close-up reasoning of why loose lips and rollout that I guess you're hearing about on the forums, or maybe some famous player is talking about it. But they're wrong, because maybe they have a natural talent and they don't realize that they are using a tighter chop setup and a roll-in, but they are. Even if they don't think they are, I bet I could get with them in person and find out that they indeed are using tighter embouchure. You're simply not going to play above the staff with a relaxed, loose, flappy embouchure. That's for pedal tones and maybe some kind of special effects. You have to build the strength here. Even all the air training in the world, we can get Greg Louganis to pick up trumpet. He will not be able to do what I just did, because even though he might have much better lung capacity than I do, he does not have the strength to contain all that air. I'm Kurt Thompson. I just wanted to get down and dirty and up close and personal, and I hope you enjoyed this detailed explanation and demonstration. Looks like we got up close and personal, didn't we? We really did. So go back and rewatch this video. You should learn some things from this. I'm hoping a light bulb will go in your head, and you could stop abiding and listening to this misinformation and chatter and distractive noise that you hear all over the internet. Most of it's wrong. Most of it's wrong because most of these people can't even demonstrate what I just did for you right now. You could, twist their arm behind their back and offer them $1 million, and they couldn't do what I just did on the largest Bach trumpet mouthpiece, the Bach 1. This isn't a 1C. It's not a 1B. It's not a 1A. It is the Bach 1 trumpet mouthpiece, the largest of all Bach trumpet mouthpieces. So until next time, by the way, if you like this, where's my thumb? If you like it, do a little bit of this. Subscribe, hit that bell notification, and you'll find out other videos that will pop up in your email, letting you know that I just uploaded something. And if you want to contribute a couple dollars to the betterment of this channel, there should be a link down there for Patreon, and you can become a patron and be helping out the arts here on this channel. I'll see you next time, and I hope this was of
information and some help. Bye-bye. Whoa! High F with some power behind it. And I had a big hunk of Reynolds aluminum in my mouth. Hey, it's Kurt Thompson and welcome to a brand new school year. Back to school. This is my back to school promo and specials for the 2018-2019 school year. And are you starting this school year with braces? Oh, these aren't real braces. But I've already given this a shot. This is a real thick rolled up version of Reynolds aluminum. You can see it's pretty thick. It's very uncomfortable, kind of hurts. This is a little stunt that I'm going to do right now for you, and I'm not going to be sounding that well with a mouthful of metal in my mouth, but I'm going to show you one key element that will make life easy for you if you do have to start this year, especially in marching band with braces. I know it's rough and tough and it hurts, but there is a way around it. And the way around it is increasing your embouchure strength, your lip strength, and your chop strength. Now, you might have heard people talk about that before, but the real reason you need to do that is to reduce mouthpiece pressure. The weaker you are here, the more you have to smash the mouthpiece in, especially as you go higher. The stronger this is, the more you can resist your lips thinning apart and keep the pucker, and you'll be able to reduce the mouthpiece pressure. And that's what you need, especially with braces. So I'm here to prove a point. I'm here to prove the fact that I have an enormously strong embouchure will save me a little bit on a big hunk of metal in my mouth. Now, I'm not going to sound that good. I probably miss a few notes. But I'm here to tell you that even a lot of you have sent me comments and questions about the fact that you can't even play out of the staff with braces. I'm here to tell you that once you get used to it, you can go a little bit, but once you build the strength here, you can go way on up and without it hurting too bad. So I'm going to put this in my mouth. I have a feeling it's not going to be that fun, but I'll try it anyway. It's pretty thick, probably thicker than your braces. It just doesn't have the sharp barbs, but okay, get it in there. And I'll leave this uncut, not going to cut anything there. Okay, in my mouth. Let's see what happens. Middle C. High G. Oh, high C. Should I go a little bit more? High F with some power behind it. And I had a big hunk of Reynolds aluminum in my mouth to simulate braces, and this is thicker. Some of you can really see that, but it's thicker than what you have in your mouth. It just doesn't have the barbs on it, of course. But that's to prove a point. How come I can put this in my mouth and go up to a high F like that, and it wasn't a squeal or a squeak? It was a full-bodied high F. Like I said it before, I'll repeat it again. Enormous muscular strength on the muscles that surround the lips. That's your embouchure. And then also exceptionally enormous strength in the lips. There's two different things going on there. The lip material itself is more gristle-like, kind of like your ear or your nose. And then the muscles that surround the lip, you can actually see this if you study anatomy and biology on a real cadaver. It's kind of gross, but the muscles that go around the lips are feathered and striated.
around. There are two different things going on. That means you have to build and approach them subtly differently, even though they're linked together, obviously. It's part of our body. So you have to build a lip strength and you have to build the embouchure strength. One doesn't take care of the other. You can't just work on your lip strength and expect the whole embouchure to amazingly be supercharged and ready to rock. And you can't just do lip slurs all day long and expect the lip tissue itself to be super strong. Lip slurs tend to work here on the corners. So I'm here to tell you that if you're starting 2018-2019 school year with braces, I have the solution for you. I'd like for you to look down in the description and click on some of the specials I have. I have a beginning intermediate course that's really going to help you. It's going to help increase your strength, and you can take that course by yourself should you choose, or you can add me to it. I have the live version where it's me and you every week. So there's just a difference in, of course, cost. But either way, you're going to get something out of it, something very, very good. You're going to have to increase the embouchure strength to be able to play with braces. If you don't, you're going to suffer, and you're going to suffer, and you're going to suffer. I don't want you to suffer. So, by the way, this may be live. If it's live, look down in the little comment section below and hit me up with a comment. I'll try to answer right live, right straight to you. If you're watching this after the live stream, then go ahead and leave a comment. I'm usually pretty good within a couple of days of getting back to people that leave comments. So you're starting the brand new school year with braces. All hope is not lost. There is hope. And you got to come see me. You got to come talk to me. You got to ask some questions. I do have some good solutions for you if you're willing to work and you're willing to invest in yourself. You don't have to suffer this year or the next couple of years with braces. There is a solution. I'm Kurt Thompson. If you haven't already done so, subscribe in one of those little red rectangular boxes. Subscribe. You'll see a lot more new videos like this. Go ahead and give this a like. If you have a good comment, leave it in the comment section. If you have a neutral comment, leave it in the comment section. If you have a horrific, horrible troll comment, well, leave it in there, and then I'm going to do a little bit of this. Just kidding. Just kidding. So I hope you have a wonderful start to this 2018-19 school. It's back to school time. I'm Kurt Thompson. I'll see you soon.